No, we covered the entire Julio Foolio trial, part 1, because this is going to be a 5-part series. As y'all know, there are several other people involved, including Alicia Andrews' alleged baby daddy, Isaiah. But Alicia Andrews, she was recently found guilty, and y'all know the charges. We reviewed it at length here on the channel. She's going to be sentenced here coming up in several weeks. And this is actually an interview. Shout out to Taylor Umbridge for posting this over on a YouTube channel. I'll leave a link to the full interview in the description for y'all, so y'all can go over there, check her out, and show her some support. Make sure if you do go over there, tell her that I sent you as well. So she's interviewing Jeremy and she's interviewing Aaron, and they're going to talk about what went on during the Alicia Andrews trial, some of the issues that they ran into, and how they felt about the entire process. We know we read their motion that they filed against the judge, the petty motion, basically saying, hey, the judge shouldn't have been on this case. The judge was biased. The judge was mean to us. And I think they're just doing the best for their client. So it can't be mad at them. Let's see what Jeremy has to say here.
What were your anticipated challenges? Just knowing the charges that she had when you first got on or wrote into and you were like, okay, I'm getting ready to go in here. What was the biggest concern that you had?
Me or Arian?
Either one is fine.
You want to? I'll take it first.
Go ahead.
My instinct led me to believe, and it was right, that just the cultural differences, right? The finding a jury that could understand culturally what was happening and not brush it off as just simply gang violence. There's more nuances to what was going on. So I thought one of the biggest issues was going to be people in the courtroom that matter, the judge, the jury. The prosecution, not so much, because, it doesn't matter what it actually means. It's more about how they present it. But getting a jury and having a judge that would be willing to understand the nuances of the culture.
So let's talk about the jury. Are you able to share what the jury makeup was?
What do you guys think about that statement? Obviously, that would be a typical concern of an attorney. But talking about the cultural aspects of something like this seems somewhat irrelevant in my case, other than just looking at someone's skin color and making a decision based on that. Because I don't know about y'all when it comes to culture, but I don't even want to go down this route, but as a black man, what happened here is not a part of my culture. So what culture is she talking about? Because every piece of evidence and everything that was shown in this case, when it comes to culture, maybe if you want to talk about rap culture, if you want to talk about gang culture, hopefully I pray that she's not talking about black culture in general. What do you want on the jury? I mean, do you want a bunch of rappers? Do you want a bunch of black people that maybe have somebody who they know that's in gang culture? Do you want someone who's white and maybe has someone who had a relative that was locked up because they were involved in gangs? I'm not going to nitpick, but I want to know what y'all think about that statement, because I think it's very interesting and telling about how this case was run by the defense.
Culture.
So let's talk about the jury. Are you able to share what the jury makeup was?
Yeah, so there were 2 Latino people on the jury. The rest were white.
And one of the Latino persons was white. Yeah, Latino.
Was white representing Latino. Yeah. Yes.
So after
okay, so yeah, they're talking about black folks.
The jury was chosen. Like, how did it make you feel going into day one or opening arguments? Like, once that was set.
I was frustrated.
Yeah, I'll say while we were picking the jury, the ones that we had on our minds, the ones that we wanted to keep, if we kept a lot of the ones that we thought we would get or would have, we would have been okay. It would probably been like split. But as we kept going through the jury selection process and the prosecution would strike some people that we wanted, some people of color and whatnot, at the end we realized when we looked at all the 12 that we ended up picking that we had basically an all-white jury. And we fought to have other people on the jury. We fought to have a black woman on the jury. We fought to have some other people on the jury. But the prosecution to get 10 strikes, peremptory strikes, which are just, you get to use these strikes for whatever reason, really. And they used them to get some of the people off. And we didn't have a whole bunch of, colored people, black people, however you want to call it, Hispanic people on the jury to begin with, in the pool of individuals to begin with. So it's like slim pickings, and then they have enough peremptory strikes to just get rid of everyone. So when we saw the makeup, it was like I thought we was gonna have a little bit of a better shot, but we got to work with what we can work with, because even though a lot of the people were white, it was some of them were okay, meaning like they were at least fair. And if we could get fair jurors to listen to the case, then we should be okay. Is what our mindset was. So long as they can be fair, because so long as they're fair, there's an even playing field, and all we got to do is do our job, which we know we're gonna do, and then we go from there.
Yeah, so I would be interested to know, based on how this trial went, what they believe the cultural aspects of this case that was missed or potentially missed by the jury. Because again, I could just be seeing it through the lens of how I was raised, how I grew up, being a black man, and just some of this stuff I can already see without even thinking about it. So maybe I need to ask somebody who's not black and who doesn't understand this culture. But looking at what she was found guilty of, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, even as a black man, I thought she got lucky. So I don't know if Jeremy's saying he believes, as maybe he does, that his client should have been found not guilty of all charges, because looking at the facts and the evidence of this case, looking at what the charges were, I thought Alicia Andrews was going to be found guilty of second-degree murder. Honestly, and I said, I'm on record saying it. I was watching it several other places and said it. So I'm just curious to know from his legal experience, what part does he think was missed by the jury that led them to giving her or finding her guilty of what they found her guilty of? Because I was looking at the evidence. I'm like, man, she's about to get second-degree murder.
Yeah. Because really picking a jury is a gamble. It's always a gamble, right? And you obviously want people that can relate to your client. But the idea that, we wanted a diverse jury, of course, but there were, non-white people in the pickings that we did not want on the jury too. So it was, I will say this, the second time around, because we had, we kind of started the process a little bit in August. This set of jurors was, I believe, much more diverse than the first time.
Okay. So when it was set in stone, did it change your strategy at all as far as how you were going to attack this case or present it in front of them?
I doubt it.
I would say no. It did not, because we kind of expected the makeup of the jury, maybe not as it was exactly, but we didn't expect to have an all black jury.
Yeah.
We're not trying a case in Wakanda, so we never expected to have an all black jury or people that were all culturally sound and whatnot. Yeah. So it didn't really change, and we accounted for those issues that we knew would come up. We accounted for them in jury selection. So the process of jury selection, which people don't get to see, right? We're asking particular questions of the panel, of the people that are there, so that we can weed out who would be very, very bad for Alicia and for the case. So certainly all the people that were terrible for her, we got all those people off the jury. Yeah. So it didn't change when we saw what the jury was or what the makeup of it. It didn't change our theory. It didn't change the way we would defend the case. We knew that was a possibility.
Yeah.
So what's the issue?
And see, I don't think that everybody kind of understands that, like, the entire process of trial, like once it gets started, the strategy begins. And I think just as people were watching the trial, the defense's strategy wasn't super clear to them, which made them criticize heavily. So can we?
You think that's what made them criticize heavily?
I think.
No. What made us criticize heavily is y'all was over there asleep. I'm sorry, man. This was not a great case. I don't think it was defended well. Y'all said the same thing in the comments. And it's funny, we mentioned this even in their motion to disqualify the judge in this case. They left out a lot of comments what people were saying about this defense team and how maybe it felt like they didn't do the greatest job defending Alicia.
I think a little bit of it. I think it's a little bit, right? I think there's
I got different thoughts, but let's go with that. Let's start there.
Okay, we'll start there. Okay, fair compromise. I think part of it was not understanding what the defense's strategy was. What can you tell us about what strategy you guys chose to pick?
So I'll say this much, like from the public's perspective, I think the state wasn't sure about what our strategy was sometimes too. And that's kind of the point, right? Like, I don't think that the main strategy in a trial is always to pull out the pieces of information that will allow you to argue what you need to argue in the end, right? That's kind of the core. That's why you question witnesses, why you ask specific questions. But the idea that it wasn't very clear, I think is not, It was more so because of the way the state put on their case and some of the things that the judge allowed to be put in front of the jury. A lot wasn't clear. Particularly Alicia's role in any of this wasn't clear. So I think a lot of the confusion actually came from just the large amount of information that was put before that jury that was not relevant to the actual facts of the case.
I can see some of that because even as we were watching it here, there were certain points where I was like, okay, guys, I get what you're saying, but what does this have to do with Alicia? What about Alicia? What about Alicia? And they were able to build it up and show how Alicia was clearly involved. They show messages she sent. They show how she felt about Foolio. They saw the people she was around wanting to go on the trip, being involved and helping with acquiring a place for them to stay. We're not done. I mean, we know what was going on.
That's just my thought.
So when we talk about the amount or the evidence that was put in front of the jury, I mean, I think it was conflated. There was a lot of evidence about things that she absolutely didn't do. And I'm just a law student. I don't know too much, right? So literally this trial is starting on Monday. The Monday of the week the trial starts. We're talking about conspiracy in class. So I'm like, oh, let me watch this trial because I got something to relate this to for my midterm, for my final, for my final. And so when you talk about like things that just were not relevant, what exactly was the state supposed to prove?
Oh, I'm going to pause it here and we're going to get into that in the next video. Let me know what y'all think about this so far. The culture thing, as Dennis Byron mentioned in the chat, it's kind of bothering me because this case isn't necessarily about culture specifically here. It's about what does the evidence show? And clearly, according to a lot of you in the chat, myself and the jury, the evidence showed that not only was Alicia involved, but she had intentional actions that helped them plan this entire situation. So let me know what y'all think in the comments in the chat. Are they just making excuses or do they have a point when it comes to everything Alicia Andrews had to go